Holy shit.
Yeah, that was loud. That was real loud. All right, what's going on? It's Josh, aka the Muslim Muscle, and your boy cousin Creamy in the building.
How you doing?
We're doing this different now. So the first two episodes we came with a whole itinerary. Last time we just came with a topic. This time I said I'm picking a topic and I'm dropping it on cousin Creamy. So we're gonna do fat loss. And the main reason that I'm
Fantastic.
picking fat loss is because your boy is up like 6 pounds from yesterday. Um, Yeah, my body don't do well with soy sauce. That's what we're starting
Oh,
to
oh,
realize.
oh, oh, you're just holding
Yeah.
a fuckload of water.
Oh yeah, because after cardio, it was way back down. Hey D, what's up,
Sorry, I
mama?
have I had my cookies yesterday and somehow went down 1.5 pounds, so solid.
Perfect. So we could talk about fatigue and we could talk about fat loss and we could talk about all of it. All right, let's start with the overarching rule of fat loss.
Calorie
Calories
deficit.
in, calories out. Yes, exactly. You have to burn more calories than you consume. If you eat 2,000 calories, you have to burn at least 2,001 calories to be in a calorie deficit. Now, that would be very slow, but that is rule number one. So, no matter what kind of metabolic calculator you use online, it does not matter. The ending rule, the law of thermodynamics, you need to burn more calories than you produce. So, XYZ calculator says you burn 2,500 calories in a day, you eat 2,000 calories in a day, and you're not losing weight. Guess what? Calculator's wrong. It's not the fact that you're just not eating or you're doing something wrong. Calculator's just wrong. Just need to drop your food.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the calculators, and I'm not going to say they're great just to have as a tool to reference. Don't make it end all be all. It's just a lot of experimentation, especially if you're doing this on your own or like your first time doing it. I mean, you could do the stupid column move and I was lost 100 pounds by just straight crash dieting. Don't recommend that for anybody. But no, it's if I in a perfect world, you set your calories for like a week or two. I'd probably say 2 weeks. If your body weight is not going down and it's not trending down, okay, we're gonna have to start either moving more, expending more, or eating less, or a bit of both. So that's like a huge thing when it comes to fat loss that I see people they want to outwork like a shitload of food. So it's like I'll do an hour of cardio, but I want to eat like 3,300 calories. And it's like that in a perfect world sounds fantastic, but it's like if you're doing an hour of cardio, eating all that food, but then you're just sitting on your ass, you're not going to lose weight because again, daily movement. A huge thing now that everyone implements is cardio and then separate steps because no matter what, when you're moving around, when you're fucking moving your arms, you're tapping your foot, tapping your desk, you're expending energy at a very slow rate, but you're still expending. So it's just a matter of really finding that balance. How much food do you have to pull? How much cardio you have to implement? How much movements you have to implement? And just pulling certain levers, but not relying on just one big ass lever to do all the work because you're just gonna burn out in like a month, if that.
100%. So I think what we could do is to help some people out who are going to be watching this is just run through like basic things. So my basic go-to for most people is in a non-coaching context, if someone's asking me, how do I figure out what my calories are or how much should I be eating to lose weight or blah, blah, blah. I use a general rule of we want to lose about a half pound to 2 pounds per week.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple. Lower end for females, higher end for males, especially the more body fat you have. So from there, we have to do a little bit of math. In order to be in a 1 pound of body fat deficit for the week, we need to be losing 3,500 calories. 7 days, 500 calories deficit. So if your basal metabolic rate was 2,500 without doing cardio, just your normal day to day was 2,500, you would need to be eating 2,000 calories. Very simple. Now, how do we find out something like a basal metabolic rate right at the start point? The general rule of thumb, I believe, is your body weight times 10 to 14. Now,
Something like that.
I personally just say 11. I said take your body weight, multiply it by 11. The reason is we're trying to burn fat. I'd rather be on the lower end to start out with and always be able to increase food through a refeed or something along those lines. So Your basal metabolic rate, we're going to use round numbers here. I would love to use 100 because it'd be really easy, but most people aren't 100 pounds. So we're going to say 200, even though most people also aren't 200 pounds. So it's going to be about 2,200 calories. Now you have an activity factor. I basically tell just about everyone that you need to be getting between 8,000 and 10,000 steps. The reason being is there's studies done by the American Heart Association that that's going to reduce the cardiovascular risk of disease. I believe about 40% for 8,000 and 60 or 75% for 10,000. So at the end of the day, no matter what you want to look like, you don't want to die. So general movement's probably going to be a pretty good idea. So 8 to 10,000, that's going to give you an activity factor of about 1.1 to 1.375. Now, numbers off the top of my head, don't quote me on all of these, but so you take that number of your body weight times 11, and then you multiply it by around about where your steps fall. So if it's middle of the range, say 1.2. If it's a higher range, 1.375. I never use that number simply because I'd rather, again, be lower than higher. We're trying to burn fat. If we do it too quick, we could always refeed. If we do it too slow, now we lost time. So that's my general concept, and that'll get you a number of, we could do the quick math on it. I don't feel like doing, but probably around about 2,800 for your general. This is what's going to maintain your calories, or this is what's going to maintain your body weight. Now, in order to pull that off, take that off, we want to lose 500 calories. Now, we could take your 2,800 calories and we could just subtract 500 calories right off the bat. So you're eating 2,300 calories, which
Mm.
in the beginning of a diet phase is going to be a good move because most likely you're going to be eating a lot more than that. So just pulling off food first is going to be my main quickest thing I would want to do. But after that, some people need cardio. I did my entire prep without cardio.
Yeah,
You
which
were
is
doing
fucking
cardio.
ridiculous.
Some people need cardio. I like cardio. 30 minutes. We're going to just generally say a heart rate range, but let's be real, you're probably running about 10 calories per minute. You do 20 minutes of cardio, there's 200 of your 500 calories. Now just take off 300. Again, I'd rather be safe than sorry, so assume 400 just so that you're there.
Yep.
Boom. Now you're in a 500 to 600 calorie deficit. You're going to be losing about a pound a week of body fat. Now, that does not mean that the scale is going to go down a pound a week because it could not. This is where little things like fatigue that we're not going to get into and, water manipulation, things of that nature, or water retention, water manipulation, things of that nature are going to come into play that are going to affect the scale weight, which is why a better way of tracking your weight is going to be a weekly average as opposed to day to day.
Yeah, I mean, I was just about to get into that because the one thing that a lot of people, even my clients, they struggle with the whole concept of weighing every day. And I get it. I mean, trust me, it can be a real mental block to step on a scale every day. And some days you're high, some days you're low. You want to see the progressive thing over weeks and months, but no matter what, it will give you a better idea of where your weight loss is going because no matter what, if you drink more water on this day and less water on this day, have more sodium this day, your weight's going to fluctuate. But at the end of the day, if you're in a calorie deficit, you're burning fat. It is what it is. So you're going to be higher, you're going to be lower. If your weekly average is going down and you're progressing, then you're solid. You're solid. But God forbid you have one day where you're like, for instance, 2 pounds up, but then that next day you're back to baseline. Then you're down a pound. Then you're down half a pound. Then you're up a pound. So again, once you get that all calculated, you're going to have your weekly averages, and over weeks and months at a time, if you can see, again, if you're trying to lose fat, you're seeing your weight trending down. If you're trying to, you're in an off season or a bulking setting, your weight's trending up. But if like I always find that to be a challenge to get people to at least step on the scale every single day, just for the sake of their like I don't even want to say mental health, but just the whole concept of looking at the scale every day. And it's like, God forbid they're up, then it's like they have a shit day. And it's like, no, you're not gonna have a shit day. It's just like you're not having the same thing every single day. And especially for my lifestyle people, it's like I know that they're not eating my meal plan every single day or what I recommend for them to eat. But it's something where you kind of have to do it for yourself. It's if you're truly real about if you truly want to be real with yourself about losing fat. because if you can't simply step on the scale and do one thing for yourself every single morning and just jot down a number for yourself and myself to get as much information, then I'm sorry, it's going to be hard for me to kind of see where we're really trending if we don't have a total weekly average.
Right. And something that I've had some clients who struggle with that too. And generally the concept has to be this isn't for you. This is for data. This is for me. This is to see how your body fluctuates throughout the week. This is to see how a cheat meal affects you. This is
Mm-hmm.
see this just gives us an idea of where we're at to start with and where we can go from here. If you
Yeah.
turn around and you say, yeah, Josh, I really just don't want to weigh myself, 7 times a week. All right, cool. Can we do four?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we can do four, two of those days are going to be back to back no matter what.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Sunday, Monday, a Monday, Tuesday, two of those days are going to be back to back. I'm going to be able to see how a daily fluctuation works and how the weekly average looks. So I always minimum 4 times a week. Um, and that's just a huge benefit to all the people that I work with is like we can do that. Now, if you are doing it yourself, daily average, completely unbiased, write it down in a notebook. Don't look at it again. Look at
Yep.
it at the end of the week, see where your numbers are at, and call it a day. Because if you are doing it yourself and you get stuck in day to day of, wow, I went up 2 pounds, wow, I went up a pound, wow, I went down 4 pounds, that those numbers are going to stick in your head as opposed to the other way around. And if you think about it, when you're dieting, you're a little tired. What's the first thing someone asks you? How much do you weigh? So that
Yeah.
number's always in your head.
That is true.
So it's like a perfect example would be, you're in prep and, it's a rough day. I don't know. Again, didn't have these in my prep, but 0 carb day, hour cardio. Hey, what'd you weigh this morning? Well, from yesterday, I was 230. This morning, I was 232, and now I have a 0 carb and an hour cardio. And next day, I wake up and I'm 233.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, are you kidding me? Yo, I went up. I didn't eat a single carb yesterday. I had an hour of cardio and I went up. It's like, most likely you're holding a little water.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah, that's what blurred your legs. Sorry.
yeah. And that's really what it comes to. I mean, that's the really just in-depth thing when it comes to like a prep setting, more times than not, 99% of people are never going to get there and there's going to be general fat loss. And again, everyone's different. Everyone has different mental capacities, physical capacities. So, they can like push themselves so far. But, it always comes down. What I really like to explain to people is like, how bad do you really want it? Because you say you want to look good. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. You say you want to better yourself. You want to lose fat. You want to get toned for the summer. You want to whatever the fucking case may be, but then you're solid for the 5 days during the week, and then you go fuck off on the weekends, and then you question me why it's not working. I'm sorry. If you can lock it in for 7 days a week, get yourself into a structure, then at that point we can see truly where your weight's going, how much food you actually need to lose weight, so you're not doing this bullshit rebound effect that you lose a shitload and then you're back to square one as the week comes around because during the weekend you decided to go out with your girls or go out with the boys, go fuck off in the bars, and then go house a pizza Saturday and Sunday, go to brunch on Sunday, and then holy shit, I wake up Monday and I'm back to 185 pounds. I was just 185 3 weeks ago. What happened? Let's
All right.
reanalyze and see what happened.
I gotta pause you here. Gotta pause you here. That's not just in a fat loss situation. If you are in a weight gaining situation, we're trying to do this in a controlled manner. 5 days is not enough.
Yes.
5 days of you being on point for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you're leaving a lot on the table. There's a lot. And realistically, it's not saying that you can't have a cheat meal. It's saying don't have a cheat meal yet. Let's see what this weekly average of 2,700 calories does for your body. If it's not taking it forward, then we need to increase your calories. Wait, I promise you. And this is me preaching because it's the conversation I have with a client. I know when she watches this, she's going to DM me. So it doesn't matter. When you are sitting there and you constantly try to have a cheat meal every week, and we don't let the calories do what they're going to do, guess what? The cheat meal is not going to be as big. If
Yeah.
you turn around and you take out one meal for your cheat meal and you went from 2,500 calories, but you waited and you were just diligent, and your calories slowly rose, and now your baseline is 3,000, I guarantee that one of five meals that was 500 calories, that's now 600 calories. Oh, your cheat meal is 100 calories bigger. If you take two meals out, now it's 200 calories bigger. So just take the time, understand the process that it's not about being good 5 days a week. It's not even about being good 6 days a week. It's about making proper choices 7 days a week. Because with myself and with Colin, I already know this. You can swap the macro. You're in a situation, there's a really good option of oats and whey just about anywhere.
Yep.
If your meal called for, and we're going to get into some numbers now, 50 grams of rice, raw weight,
Yep.
150 grams of chicken, raw weight, just because I know those numbers off the top of my head, we're going to be around about 42 grams of protein, around about 40 grams of carbs, and we'll say 3 grams of fat. Well, 40 grams of raw weight oats is going to be about 27 grams of carbs. If you get that to 40 with some whey protein, you're good, you're golden, you're chilling. Doesn't really matter.
Yep.
Your calories are still the same. The quality of the food is a little bit different, but it's still going to do what it's supposed to do. So just being consistent, understanding that, like, hey, I can make a little change here or there, and it's not going to throw me off, as opposed to, I don't have this meal with me. I'm going to eat McDonald's.
Yeah. And that's really what it comes down to a lot of the times. And again, I know not everyone is going to live the whole bodybuilding lifestyle, and there's a lot of people who just want to change the way that they are, change the way that they look, and create better habits, which I'm all here for. And I give my clients a lot of leeway when it comes to their food, but I also send them a lot of recipes. So, for instance, a lot of the times, especially in prep and even post show, where my hunger is ravenous, or I just wanted something different. My oats in the morning, I'd make them pancakes. So it's like you're not eating a bowl of oats every single time. You're eating pancakes, but it's the same measurements of what my oatmeal would be is in my pancake. So it's stuff like that. It's like small adjustments that you can make that if you have the time to do it, do it. But you want to make this as enjoyable as possible, especially when it comes to a lifestyle, because in bodybuilding, it's just like, you're going to be eating 5, 6 meals a day. It's going to be oats, it's going to be chicken, rice, potato, etc. But like when it comes to a lifestyle client, yeah, it's always well and good to have that structure, but there are things like you said, you can macro sub, you can have a bit of push and pull, but as long as you're still getting the job done with the same calories and macros going into it, then you're fine. Everything's going to fall off as is because again, we're not going to take into the whole low glycemic, high glycemic, insulin responsive carbohydrate. It is what it is. No matter what, at the end of the day, calories in, calories out.
Yep.
I mean, to a certain extent, but when it's all said and done, if you want to eat oats, like a bowl of oats, or you want to turn it into fucking pancakes, it's going to more times than not do the same thing to your body.
So like, and just like we keep saying, calories in, calories out, you can lose a lot of fat on Twinkies and whey. I
Oh yeah.
guarantee you, if you're 300 pounds and you eat three Twinkies a day and four protein shakes a day, you're gonna lose weight. But this is where we get into something that's a little bit different, which is like, how do you want to feel? If you
Yeah.
want to feel good during this time, this is going to be about the quality of food that you choose. So being in a being in the grocery store, your boy was just in the grocery store, staying on the outer aisles. Except for, you want to go and grab rice or something along those lines, a little bit of cereal, nothing killed nobody. You knew that's where I was going, but like you staying on the outer aisles is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Being in a micronutrient, surplus, making sure that you're hitting all the colors of the rainbow when it comes to your food and, your vegetables, your fruits, things like that. If you turn around and you're diligent about that stuff, you are going to be satiated, you're going to feel healthy. You're going to feel good going into whatever you're currently doing, you're going to be mentally sharper. Um, there's a whole bunch of people right now preaching, you know, either ground beef or steak, eggs, blueberries, and oats in the morning, and like saying that that's going to be the mental, jewels to what you're doing. Guess what? There's a lot of vitamins in that. There's a lot of minerals in that. There's things that are going to make you sharper just because you're not in a micronutrient deficiency to start off the day. You're getting high quality foods in. Something like red meat gets demonized all the time, but realistically is one of the few sources of heme iron that we can get. It's going to be way more bioavailable for us.
Yeah.
Um, if you look at over at your diet in a really good place, and this is not a plug, I wish there was a such thing as a code for this, but chronometer is going to be a great thing to turn around and see where you lack or where you are, overindulging on your actual micronutrient balance. So things like that, being able to understand that you can get a lot more out of the foods that you eat. Um, and then you can also spruce up the foods like cinnamon blueberry rice, baby.
Even
You
that
can't,
fucking cinnamon blueberry rice.
you got to get it. It's
I
just one of
always
those
make it.
things. It's just one of those things that it's like you can get, a little bit of a glucose disposal agent out of the cinnamon. You get the flavor of the cinnamon. Yes, you have blueberries, which are going to have polyphenols and all these antioxidants in it. You're going to get your rice, which is going to be your moderate glycemic carb, and I'm going to say that because there's
It's a
different
fast acting
ways.
carb.
Yeah, yeah, but you can lower the glycemic index if you let it cool down and then you reheat it. So like that's why I'm saying moderate. Yeah,
You
I
sound
didn't
like
want to get
Thomas
into
fucking DeLauer.
I didn't want to get into the minutia of that, but yes. So that's why we're saying moderate.
Jesus.
Um, and then you have your chicken or your steak or whatever it may be, and you have all of these great vitamins that you're putting into your body that is going to make you feel good. You're going to perform at your best. When you perform well, Deion Sanders, look good, feel good, play good, and then they pay good. And the payback is going to be how you look in the mirror. So quality of food is important, and it's not just calories in, calories out.
Yeah.
But something else that kind of gets harped on, especially with nutrition, and I don't know your opinion on this, but I'm going to tell you exactly how I would schedule a day if somebody has 5 meals a day. Um, is nutrient timing. So if somebody were to have 5 meals in a day,
Hmm.
and let's say they're training after meal three, just to make it nice and even. Meal one is going to have higher fats, lower protein, or sorry, higher fats, lower carbs, pretty high protein. I like to keep
Yep.
protein moderate. Like if we're going for 200 grams a day, we're probably going about 40 grams of protein per meal. Um, Maybe give or take on some meals, but like
Yeah.
we're going to be right around that 40 number. Meal two is going to be probably relatively moderate in everything. So it's going to be protein, it's going to be carbs, it's going to be fat. But
Hmm.
if we got 50 grams of fat on the day, the first meal is going to have 15, the second meal is probably going to have 5. Third meal, pre-workout meal is probably also going to have 5 to 10 on the fats. It's going to be higher carb, and protein's probably going to be the lowest in this meal,
Lower.
personally.
Yep. Yep.
I like to have this meal a little bit lower just so that digestion's still moving. Even though we have the fats to slow down digestion, I like digestion to be a little bit faster in this meal. Also, personal thing, no vegetables in this meal.
Especially if it's your pre-workout now.
Used to have vegetables in this meal, cut them out for whey and cream of rice, and way better. It's just the fiber, it's not slowing you down. You don't feel bloated. Post workout, you want something fast. You want something fast. You do not want fats in this meal. As low as fats as possible, whether you're doing rice, whether you're doing cream of rice, whether you're doing cereal, low as possible with fats. Whole idea is you want this meal to be digested fast. You want to refill the glycogen storage. You want to get in, you want to get out. That would be meal four. Meal five, pre-bed. This is where I like to implement something like a non-fat Greek yogurt or oats, um, simply because they're a little bit higher volume. And then I'm going to add an outside source of fat for volume of food, almond butter, dark chocolate, something like that, simply because we are human. I like something sweet before bed.
Yep.
You like something sweet before bed. Now, I'm saying that, and that's how I would build out a diet. That is not a current diet that I'm following. My last meal before bed has no fats in it. Why? Because I right now want to wake up as empty as possible. Get in, get out, have the higher glycemic carb. Yes, it might not be the best for my blood sugar right before bed, but when I wake up in the morning, I test my fasted blood glucose. We're in a good spot. I do my cardio. I feel empty after that. Pretty good to go. Normally, I got to go to the bathroom one more time, and then we're chilling. So that's how I would structure someone's diet. I don't know how you would do it, but that's a general gist. And I think realistically, what we've done in this podcast has been giving people the ability to build their own diets kind of out with now some structure of like when to have certain macronutrients. And hopefully you're blasting those micronutrients through the roof. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that. I'm not too afraid of having or even putting fats post workout in with somebody. I get the whole concept, you want fast in, fast out. But I'm kind of with you on the same thing. More times than not, I shoot a little higher if you have like 50 grams of fat. Uh, like 2/3, no, 2/3, 1/3, no, like 20 grams of fat are going to be in your breakfast. Lower carb meal for sure. 'Cause a lot of the times, more people will say that they can't really handle the carbs in the morning. They just feel groggy, they feel sluggish. And again, if you want a little bit, if you don't want any, whatever. I like to really come to a conclusion like, okay, I want this amount of carbs in this meal, but if you don't feel good, then we just won't. And there's a lot of push and pull. If there's things where it's like come hell or high water, like I need this in at this time, like okay, then suck it up and it's gonna have to happen. But more times than not, it's just a lot of push and pull. Try and fit their lifestyle as best as possible. But I'm with you with like the meals 2 and 3 is gonna have like 5-ish or so fats. A lot of times can be trace fats from like
mhm.
chicken and stuff like that. And again, even pre-workout, cream of rice, whey, great. If you want to do chicken and rice, it's really just comes down to what's easily digestible. I'd rather have no fats pre-workout and then have some slow digesting things post-workout. But then, protein's going to be it's going to be lower than what usually is. So if it's like 40, 45 grams, it's usually around like 30-ish or so. I'll have more protein post-workout. Um, and the night with like probably 10 to 15 grams of fat or so. Just you're going to have your main fat portions early in the morning, post workout, and then your last meal. But again, it's person to person. It's not necessarily this is the only structure that I follow. It's kind of what feels good, what feels best. Even from like myself, I personally have fats post workout. I just feel like it feels a lot better. And for myself, it's something where it's worked and I've tried it with other clients. It's worked with them. So, um, but yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just trying to take any sort of information that you get and make it work into your life. Because again, if you don't want to hire a coach, can't afford a coach, don't want a coach, whatever the case may be, if you can take anything and implement it into your own lifestyle, then it's taking the information that you're hearing and testing it on yourself and experimenting. Again, just like how we said in the beginning, if you're eating 2,500 calories a day, you're doing 10K steps a day, 20 minutes of cardio every single day, and you're losing 2 pounds of fat, 3 pounds of fat. If you start dipping into 3.5, 4 pounds, then it's to the time you can add a bit of food back. I don't necessarily say you have to always just refeed it just to slow it down, but you can always just re-implement a bit more food, re-implement a bit more calories, or you can pull the lever of doing a little bit less. So you can always do 9,000 steps and keep that same food, and it's probably going to slow down your expenditure or your weight loss to a certain extent. Again, over the average of a week, it's going to be 7,000 less steps than you're used to. More times than not, it'll slow down the rate of loss, so you're not losing at the expense of possible muscle loss. Um, Again, there's a bunch of different levers you can pull, whether it comes from calories, whether it comes from expenditure, whether it comes from dedicated cardio. You don't necessarily always have to stick to the point where it's like, okay, like pull one lever crazy fucking hard and then leave those two. Like you can, again, small increments, maybe take 100 calories from your food. You want to do a little bit less steps. You want to do a little bit more cardio. Like there's a lot of push and pull that you can do to accommodate for your lifestyle. But even like a prep setting, same thing. You have to be open with your coach. Hey, Like if your coach says, I only want you doing this amount of cardio or this cardio, it's like, okay, great. Why? And he should be able to give you a fucking answer. If he says, because I said so, excuse me? Like that's
Yeah.
there's only so much that you can take because if they're giving you direction and you don't question it and you're easygoing, great. But if you're like, all right, my knees are beat to shit because of, or my legs are beat to shit because of the stair mill, I want to switch to bike. No, you can't. Why? Because I said so. Sorry, dad. Like, I pay you. Let's have a little bit of like conversation
Explain.
here. Yeah, it's like if you want for X amount of reasons, great. But like my legs are about to fall off. I'm 2 weeks out. Can we do something about this?
No. With that said, thank you all for tuning in. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell because I'm not getting into the next step of that. But realistically, it should